Hey guys, welcome to EOC Explained. Let us go over another question. Alright, we're going to go over question number 19. If you want to read through that before we get started, go ahead and pause. Otherwise, let's get rocking and rolling. Alright, so question number 19 states this. A student collected the animals shown below on a field trip. Student used a dichotomous key and a microscope to declassify the animal. So how should this animal be classified is the main thing we're looking for. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is what awesome people do. We are going to highlight some things. You can highlight what you wish. I chose to highlight dichotomous key, microscope to classify the animal, and of course the main title, dichotomous key. So first off, what is a dichotomous key? Well, a dichotomous key is essentially a series of things to look for that sends you to the next thing so you can figure out what kind of animal this is or how to specifically classify it, right? It's kind of like a big game. If you ever played Guess Who, you have like 40 or so cards with a bunch of different pictures of people on them, and you might guess, say, does your person have glasses, right? And everyone without glasses, if assuming they do have glasses, will put that card down, and that way you can figure out who the person is. So that's a fancy way of figuring something out, and this is the same thing. This is a way we're going to classify things based on certain attributes, right? So we highlighted those things. Let's look at number one. All right. Possesses segmentation, lacks segmentation. Well, the first thing we need to do is figure out, okay, what the heck is segmentation? Well, segmentation, if we don't know what that is, it does sound like segregation, right? And segregation means to separate, right? So segmentation is kind of like a relative of that. Let's get a picture going. Like this insect, for example. It has body parts that are separated, right? So you see a head, specifically a head, you see a thorax, see an abdomen. If we had a different angle on the insect, you'd probably be able to see a good separation for the thorax and the abdomen, but for this case, this is the best picture we got for that. So you do see specific separation. So when I look at my picture to the left, I don't really see that. What you want to do is you don't want to stretch yourself, and you don't want to do mental backflips just to prove that it has something or it doesn't have something. So I'm just looking at it pretty clear. I see pretty much one solid object. So to me, that is does not have segmentation. That's lacks segmentation. Okay, so we'll eliminate that one, and we will go follow the direction, and it says go directly to 3. So we're already on the bottom 2 right now. I do want to kind of quickly go over the two ones that we're going to bypass, and that is 2A and 2B, so phylum Arthropoda and phylum Annelid. So really, we can already eliminate A and B, right? So that's done. So we're already down to a 50-50 on this one. So I know the question looked kind of intimidating at the beginning. It's not one of the easier looking questions, but it's really not hard if we just use our process of elimination, okay? So let's look at 2A, which is not the correct answer, right? Has an exoskeleton. So what's an exoskeleton? Well, we know what a skeleton is, and the word exo just more or less means on the outside, so it's something with an exoskeleton, right? So that would be something like, a lobster, something like that. So again, remember, this is if we would have went with 1A where it says possess segmentation. So it would have been segmented, and it would have had an exoskeleton. So something like one of these. You can see that there's an exoskeleton, and their limbs are segmented. So this is comic. I cannot simply eat with that disgusting arthropod there. So this is, you're probably laughing. This is a hilarious comic because, well, they're both arthropods, right? So that is rich in irony. Okay, so again, let's highlight in a different color the ones that are incorrect, so arthropoda. What about annelid? So again, we know these are wrong, and this would be if we chose possessed segmentation, and then we would have went to 2B. No exoskeleton and unjointed appendages, right? So appendages are like essentially your limbs, right? Unjointed means solid pieces. So if your arm had no bends, it was just one pole kind of thing, that would be an unjointed appendages. Unjointed, appendage, right? So let's get a picture of that. Okay, so we see segmented, unjointed appendages. So this is what 2B would be, which again we highlighted in green because it is the wrong answer, but I just wanted to get a picture of what that actually looks like. Alright, let us continue. Okay, so recap. We look at our picture, doesn't have segmentation, no separation there. It says go to 3, so we skip 2 altogether, go directly to 3. Okay, so with 3, let's look at 3A. Possesses a foot, you know, arms, limbs, general like sticking out things, and or maybe a shell. Well, I don't see any of that, okay? I see none of that, so it's not looking like 3A. Let's look at 3B. Lacks all of the above and is dorsoventrally flattened. Okay, so to me what stands out is on 3B is that word dorsoventrally, right? So that's a crazy word. What does that mean? Well, if we know what that means, that'll give us a good idea of, well, is this right or is it not? So let's think what I'm going to key on. I'm going to key on the dorso part. If you guys ever seen a shark, well, a shark looks something like that, right? The dorsal fin of a shark is actually the top fin. So if you ever seen a movie like Jaws or any kind of, pretty much any shark movie, you know, sometimes I have that dun 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 dun, you know, the Jaws, famous Jaws music. The fin you usually see sticking out of the water is the dorsal fin. It's like their top back fin, right? So let's circle that in red because I feel like that's appropriate for a shark. Bam. So when you think of dorsoventrally, think of from the top, right? So it's flattened from the top. So when we look at this picture, well, it's pretty much a top-down flattened picture. So that makes sense, right? So I think we pretty much have the answer. It looks like it's going to be 3B. We can eliminate C as well. Let's go ahead and highlight the answer in gray because our picture is gray, and that is also appropriate. Bam, there we go. So that is another successful answer done. Great job, guys.